What's up, you guys? It's Keith here. Happy Halloween. It is October 31st, 2021. So if you do hear a little bit of noise in the background, it is the fireworks that's going off. In this video, we'll be going over a few projects that is looking into the metaverse. And ever since Facebook came out with the news article or the story about them changing their name, at least for the parent company, from Facebook to Meta, and they're going to be focusing heavily on the metaverse. And hopefully you've seen the video from Facebook going over a little bit of the trailer of that. Pretty interesting. And we'll be going over some of the, not so much competitors, but some of the projects that are going to be somewhat similar in terms of being able to basically have an economy completely digitized and have those assets within that video game or within that economy have real world value that you can transact in with other cryptocurrencies, which is a pretty fascinating thought. So the things that, or the projects that we'll be going over is Axie Infinity, Decentraland, Sandbox, and then we're going to be ending off with Star Atlas. Very small market cap, 265 million. We'll talk about it a little bit more, but that's going to be at the end of the video. We're going to first start off with the largest market cap at 8 point, let's say $2 billion, which is Axie Infinity. It's just been on an absolute roar for really the entire year here. Let's just go year to date. It's just been absolutely monstrous. We will take a look at the charts for all of the projects we'll be talking about at the end of the video after we go through Star Atlas. So definitely stay tuned for that to see the technical analysis of these projects as well as looking at the fundamentals here. So we're going to dive a little bit into the coin market cap here, just understand what they are. So Axie Infinity is a blockchain-based trading game that is based on the Ethereum network, and it's a battling game that is partially owned by its operators and by its players. Inspired by popular games like Pokemon and Tamagotchi, and you can kind of see the inspiration within the characters that you can purchase within the game. And it allows players to collect, breed, raise, battle, and trade token-based creatures known as Axies. And like I said, it's on the Ethereum network, and the two other projects we'll be talking about before Star Atlas are also on the Ethereum network. And each Axie is an NFT or non-fungible token with different attributes and strengths and can be entered into a 3v3 battle. And then you can read a little bit more on there. Definitely worth checking out if you're interested in it. And it says Axie Infinity has its own mating hub to help players find a suitable match to breed their Axie. So kind of similar to the CryptoKitties, we were able to breed two different kitties to form a new kitty. And they do that to stand the best chance at producing a rare, powerful offspring. So definitely some resemblances there with CryptoKitties, except with CryptoKitties, you're not going to battle them. In this case, you are, and it costs around 0.005 ETH in addition to the small love potion token to breed the Axies. And like I said, it's on the Ethereum network there. And getting into the partners of Axie Infinity, we see massive behemoths like Samsung, Binance, Maker, Aave, Kyber Network, huge companies to be backing this this website and this game here, mainly just a game, but pretty unbelievable website that we can see for Axie Infinity. Really well done. And then a little bit of gameplay here. This is just how the game looks. And as you can see, it looks somewhat like Tamagotchis. You have healths and you kind of battle it out where one Axie tries to hit another one and then the other Axie hits back. And it's kind of like a Pokemon type of scenario if you've ever seen that. So that's the first game, and this is the largest market cap by far at around $8.2 billion in market cap. Pretty significant. And the reason why the token's so high is it has a really solid what we call like a float in the financial realm, in the traditional legacy financial realm. This would be the circulation supply. It has right now only 60 million tokens circulating, and in total there's going to be 270 million as a max supply for Axie Infinity. And some of the tokens that we'll be talking about later in the video is in the billions, so having a smaller max supply will increase the price of the coin because there's less to go around. If you have a trillion SafeMoon coins, it's never really going to go to any significant number, even though the market cap could be significantly larger than something like Axie Infinity, which has like an $8.1 billion market cap. It is in relation to how many tokens are in the supply or in the the float or the outstanding number of coins that are circulating within the marketplace. So definitely something to consider. That's the first one. We're now going to get into Decentraland, which has recently absolutely pumped. If we go to the 1 year and then go to the all, it's just literally a straight line. We've been consolidating, and then since the earlier part of this year, we saw quite a bit of a rise. And then ever since the Metaverse story came out, we've just seen a monumental jump from sub $1 up to $3.50. So 3.5x plus in a very short span of time, and I think it has a lot of legs still to go. Definitely check out the later half of the TA where we'll go into more depth as to what we see right here and the potential targets and supports that we're looking at. But right now, we're just going to have a bit of an understanding of these different basically metaverse projects that we see in the cryptoverse right now. So Decentraland, or the ticker symbol MANA, defines itself as a virtual reality platform powered by the Ethereum blockchain, like Axie Infinity is, that allows users to create, experience, and monetize content and applications. In this virtual world, users purchase plots of land that they can later navigate, build upon, and monetize. You can create experiences and stuff like that, have advertisers advertise there, along with being able to kind of create certain games or missions or stuff that's just enjoyable for people to play. So they launched following a $24 million ICO, an initial coin offering, and that was conducted in 2017. The virtual world launches its closed beta in 2019 and opened to the public in February 2020. And we can see the focus of this is a little bit different. Decentralized is built for content creators, businesses, and individuals that are looking for an artistic medium, business opportunity, and source of entertainment. So I think it's a lot more vast compared to Axie Infinity, where Axie Infinity is a little bit more narrow focused, where Decentraland, a lot of opportunities are available. I'm not saying there isn't an Axie Infinity, but definitely seems like there are more ways to passively make money or even actively make money in Decentraland compared to things like Axie Infinity. And also, Decentraland is also one of the growing number of projects to use decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, to structure its governance decisions. So, in short, you have an automated system. Instead of a human making the decisions, you have the collective pool of people who are invested in this project make the decisions as a decentralized organization, basically. And as you can see, MANA token holders, I think they forgot the end there. Token holders are in control of how the Decentraland world behaves, but proposing and voting on policy updates, the specifics of upcoming land auctions, and the type of content that are allowed with the metaverse. And they can monetize their land through leasing, advertising, and paid experiences. So a little bit of gameplay here of what this looks like. Obviously, this is a massive step up in my personal view compared to Axie Infinity, where just looking at the gameplay, this is 100% 2D. You know, you could argue that it kind of looks a little bit 3D, but there's no 3D experience here compared to what you see with Decentraland, where it is truly 3D. You're able to walk and interact with objects and other people. So here's a little gameplay here. And then you can go to these different places, which is pretty cool. And then he's just going into that. I find that pretty cool. So it's truly 3D, which is pretty interesting. So I'm not really going to continue going on, but definitely a much more encompassing gameplay or encompassing experience where you're able to have a more immersive experience, I would say. A little bit more information within the marketplace. Everything is an NFT, so you can see there is a marketplace, just like a lot of these other games that we'll be talking about and that we have talked about. There's a marketplace. You can purchase clothing for your individual, your character, and then you can also purchase plots of land that you can develop, and then you could advertise on that land. You could create experiences to generate revenue. I'm sure some people have created experiences had advertisement on there, which allows them to kind of double dip in that revenue stream from a single asset, which is pretty fantastic. We can even see that there's even names for I guess what seeming like is quite a bit of money there. I have no idea what the ratio is, but pretty interesting to see in terms of just how significant it's all playing out. And you can see these are all the plots of land that are available, as you can see. And then you can auction them off with the DAO governance system, where it's not just a single person making the decision, it is everyone. So pretty interesting to see. And then you can see this little, I think this might be a piece of land, I don't exactly know. I guess you could jump in here, but not really going to get too far into it. And we also have world events. So these are events that either Decentraland creates or an individual creates, but we can see that it is a community, it's an environment where people can go in and talk about different things that they have interest in, or share commonalities such as Halloween coming up, or maybe have debates over different exchanges. I don't exactly know, but we do see that there is a community built upon it, which is definitely a very significant thing to take into consideration when you are investing into these, because at the end of the day, if no one's playing the game, your investment will go to zero. You need people actively interested in the game and interested in basically slowly moving their real world assets into the video game, injecting capital into the ecosystem, and that's what's going to get the price to increase higher. So you're wanting that activity, and looking at social media also is a really good help for that as well. So that's going to be the Decentraland view. We'll talk about the technicals a little bit later in the video, but pretty significant. From Decentraland to go to the same market cap as Axie Infinity, we're currently at around 5.12 billion. I think if we go a little bit higher here, yeah, 5.14 billion-ish. It'll take, I did not do the math on that one, not too much, let's say, because the Axie Infinity is at 8.12. Really, so it doesn't even have to double. It can maybe go up, let's say, 70%, and then it'll be able to make it to the same market cap, which is pretty awesome. Sandbox is the next one that we'll go into, which is this one right here. This is pretty interesting, and it has also pumped quite aggressively, going from under $1 pumping to around $1.8, so it gained around $1 in a very short span of time. And this is somewhat similar to the previous Decentraland project, where you're able to buy land and use that land to generate income and stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that here. The Sandbox is a blockchain-based virtual world allowing users to create, build, buy, and sell digital assets in a form of a game. By combining the powers of decentralized autonomous organizations, DAO, which Decentraland has as well, and non-fungible tokens, NFTs, the Sandbox creates a decentralized platform for a thriving gaming community. And the Sandbox platform's main mission is to introduce blockchain technology in mainstream gaming successfully. The platform focuses on facilitating a creative play-to-earn model, which allows users to be both creators and gamers simultaneously. So, by creating a universe where games can create and collect blockchain-based assets, the Sandbox aims to revolutionize the market. It makes a niche for itself in the global market of gaming, which is increasing drastically. I think it would have been good to kind of pull up some charts for the overall trend for gaming, but I'm sure if you're watching this video, you're well aware that gaming is absolutely exploding, and it's basically considered a sport now, and a lot of people are making more than what the traditional legacy sports athletes are making, whatever that would be, with sports or like a soccer, baseball, or football, whatever the case may be for you. So I'm not really going to go too much into it. The company started out with a bang, attracting support from investments in numerous big names in the gaming industry, which includes companies like Atari, Helix, and CryptoKitties, which was the kind of the first massive project in the NFT space, where it kind of resembles Axie Infinity, where you're able to breed different CryptoKitties to produce new ones, which is a pretty interesting idea that I think Axie Infinity piggybacked off of CryptoKitties, which kind of seems like it. And then, like the two others, Decentraland as well as Axie Infinity, which are both on top of the Ethereum network, the Sandbox is also on top of the Ethereum network as well, so higher fees, and Ethereum 2.0 is eventually coming out, I'm sure, but until that point, you're going to have higher than, I guess, average fees when you're looking at the other possible platforms to choose from, whether it be Avalanche or Solana, which we'll talk about next. I don't really think it's a game out for Cardano, but I may be mistaken here. And for the Sandbox, Binance has the largest trading volume, so that would be a good option to go. Decentraland has a lot of places that you could purchase the token. Let's take a look here. Usually says, okay, Binance, OKX, Coinbase Pro. You have a lot of options there. So that's going to be Decentraland. And then Sandbox, we'll take a look at the gameplay here. The partners, we got things like Deadmau5, Atari, Care Bears, Avenged Sevenfold, which is a interesting collaboration. You have Roller Coaster Tycoon, Hell's Kitchens, The Walking Dead, Snoop Dogg, The Smurfs. So a lot of big partners there. And then this may take a little bit of time to load, but this is the actual map of the Metaverse in the Sandbox, which is pretty unbelievable. I'm going to take a quick drink of water here, and then let's take a look while it loads. All right, so slowly loading. You have a lot of the key players, like you have CoinMarketCap right here, taking a large plot of land. You have Binance Coin kind of spreading and diversifying their land holdings throughout the whole map. I haven't seen one for Deadmau5, but you have Atari there. You have the roller coaster company there. But yeah, you can really zoom in if you'd like, and then you see all the tiny little plots of land and all the people who have kind of created their own. Some have huge lands, some really don't, but you can see that there are little plots of land that you can really own, and then with those plots of land you can create experiences that people can go into, and you can see the gameplay here of one of the experiences that someone has created here. So you can see it's 3D, it's not like Axie Infinity. You are in a real virtual, well, not a real, but you are in a virtual world where there are 3D objects and 3D characters, either being your enemy, being your friend, whatever it may be. So, not really going to go too much into it here. You can see you got it. It's kind of like a Minecraft type of vibe on the outside, where a lot of things are squares, and Minecraft is extremely popular. So, would make sense that they would backpack off it, but not really going to go too much more into it. But definitely, I think it looks a lot better than Axie Infinity in terms of the market cap as well. The market cap is only at 1.48, so around 1.5 billion compared to Axie Infinity's 8.2 billion. So from where we are right now to get to the same level of Axie Infinity, we're looking at around 5.5x to get to the same level. And right now, the Sandbox Token Sand is currently trading at $1.66. So still, even with the massive pump that we have, I do still think that we could see a lot more upside here. And like we talked about, we'll talk about the TA here a little bit later in the video. But that's going to be the gameplay here for the Sandbox. Looks pretty promising and has a lot of investment already in the space, as we can see. And yeah, you can really start to take, like, there's some stuff on OpenSea that's for sale as well, and there's some stuff on FTX that's also for sale, which is pretty interesting. So you can definitely take a look if you want. Not really going to get too much more into that. So the next project that we're going to be looking at is Star Atlas. So this is different from the other projects that we've seen because this is built on the Solana blockchain, which compared to Ethereum, which can handle like 30, 50 transactions per second, not too much. Solana can handle like 50, 60,000 transactions per second. So just another level of scalability that it's able to offer. So that's a huge perk and a huge plus for Star Atlas. There is a slight downside potential, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we are talking about Star Atlas. And the game is not actually out yet, like you can't physically play it, although the marketplace is already available. You can buy and sell like ships and different things that we'll talk about and we'll take a look at. But as of right now, you can't actually physically play the game and mine asteroids and all that stuff. So basically the game is somewhat similar to the previous games in that it is a kind of first-person multiplayer game where you are playing with millions or hundreds of thousands of other people, and there's NFTs instead of just in-game currencies, which is pretty interesting. But let's just go to the overview and talk a little bit more about it. But it does look very interesting here, currently at like 12 cents. So let's do a little bit of the read more, and it removed all my highlighter. That's okay. So Star Atlas is a massive multiplayer online game that takes place in a virtual gaming metaverse. It is being built on the Unreal Engine 5, allowing the game to feature cinema quality real-time environments, and it takes place in a futuristic scientific fiction setting in 2620, blah, 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 not really too much into that. The game combines different genres, not really too much into that. Let's take a look here. So fundamentally, game players' pairs are deep space exploration, combat, building space stations and spaceships, choosing in-game professions to mine resources, which I'm sure relates to real-world value, which you can transact in a different cryptocurrency and really exchange to your native currency if you want, like US dollar or Canadian dollar, whatever it is, forging alliances to scale control resources. And assets acquired in the game can later be exchanged for real world currencies. The big thing that I'm looking at here, which I think is a huge plus, is the partnerships that it has. Star Atlas was announced on January 2021. It is being built on the Solana blockchain. It's backed by several Solana-based projects such as Serum, which I think is a huge possible upside exchange, as well as FTX, which is a centralized exchange. I'm sure you're well aware of FTX, maybe not so much Serum, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I think that this is a really good opportunity because it does have a very innovative automated market maker mechanism, which we'll take a take a little bit of a look at a little bit later in the video. And we can see that players can use Atlas tokens in-game currency to purchase assets, but they'll also be able to buy NFTs on the NFT marketplace that will function as ships and other in-game equipment. Same as what we saw in the previous projects, like the Sandbox as well as Decentraland there. So here is the website. It's probably one of the most beautiful websites I've seen ever, and you can see the in-game here, the preview, what it looks like, really, really detailed, really crisp. You can see it actually looks pretty phenomenal in terms of game. I don't really play games too much, but like that's just a really cool looking ship, to be completely honest. And then some even have like advertised FTX on them, so then you're kind of getting a branded ship if you're like really interested in owning an FTX ship. But really cool gameplay. It looks like haven't come out yet, like I said. But let's just go into the partners here. So this is the top tier partners list, manifesting a metaverse of the future. So you got Solana, which it says around 50,000 transactions per second as a sub-second finality, a transformative protocol for truly scalable applications. You got FTX, which is a up-and-coming exchange, not so up-and-coming at this point because Binance was a major behemoth that was taking a lot of liquidity out of the other smaller exchanges, but FTX is really hitting the ground running, and it's a exchange that is seeing a lot more trading volume coming in month over month. So it's some people are calling it the Binance killer. Binance is getting into a lot of regulations, and FTX is kind of swooping in and taking that liquidity away from Binance. So a up-and-coming centralized exchange that is doing extremely well. Serum, you might not know this one. This is a really interesting one, and we'll talk about that a little bit next. It is a DEX, or a decentralized exchange, and it has a powerful tool set, which we'll talk about right now. Hopefully it did not get... Nope, so perfect. So Serum is the only high-performant DEX decentralized exchange designed around a fully on-chain central limit order book and matching engine. So if you have a centralized exchange, you have an order book where you have the buyers and sellers, and you have the price in the middle, and the buyers and sellers are basically competing out. Buyers are trying to get the most amount of money as possible. Sellers are trying to get the best price or the best value, and then within those two pressures, you get what you get the price for, whatever that asset is. So they've created a order book resembling what centralized exchanges are able to provide on a decentralized exchange, which is really phenomenal, and it's never been done, not even just on like the Solana network, but on any network. We haven't seen it yet. So very, very innovative in that front. And Serum is also backed by FTX. And FTX's token is FTT, if you know what that is, but they've also got backers from other partners, as we can see right here. Solana Foundation is also backing the Starlink, I believe. Let's do Solana, maybe not. Yep, Solana, Bear 1 performs, maybe not. But regardless, we do see that Serum is backed by the Solana Foundation there. And Star Atlas is backed by FTX as well as Serum, so definitely some good backers in that front there. One thing that a lot of people are comparing Star Atlas to is actually Star Citizen, and this is the game right here. It looks somewhat, or actually pretty similar. You're based in space, you get ships, you're mining, and it's been a project that's been of interest for a while for people who are into these kinds of games, but surprisingly, it's been over 8 years after the initial crowdfunding effort began. Star Citizens is still without a release date, although parts of the game have been released in early access form, but you don't actually have a final clear-cut, this is the release date, we have a completed game that users are able to play. So some people are kind of hesitant for investing in the Star Atlas project because they've seen this flop so bad. But if it does actually come into fruition and you're able to get this game out and people are able to play it, it's a massive, massive opportunity, in my opinion, in terms of purchasing this token. If you like playing games, you can actually make money playing games like an Axie Infinity. There are people who work full-time within the game and make a living from Axie Infinity. So I think this is going to be just another opportunity for people who are wanting to kind of so-called work from home, but then also be able to play a game at the same time and earn money from it. So definitely interesting. You see, it also has a marketplace where you get different ships. You can get different structures and get access to different things. We can see mining drills, and we can basically get supplies to mine things. Access, so these are access badges for different places, and then you also have collectibles there for like crew gear, skins, all that stuff. So cloaks, so kind of the same thing as the stuff that we've seen earlier, but the graphics on this game I think look absolutely phenomenal. Like at the homepage, you'll be able to see the video here, and I'd definitely suggest looking at the gameplay like on YouTube and stuff. Like I said, you can't really play it yet, but it does look really phenomenal in terms of the gameplay there. So that's going to be the view of all those different projects. We're going to now take a look at the technicals of them, the TA. We're first going to look at Axie Infinity here and have a comparison of the rest of them. Axie Infinity at the start of 2021 was under $1. Can you believe that? It's now at $133. Absolute monumental push to the upside. Just so much respect for the for the people who bought in under that dollar mark and who were able to hold on for this huge rally. So not a whole lot more to talk about. I think that this is the benchmark that we're trying to beat in terms of from this point onwards in the future, because yes, this game is ballooning, but I think there will be upgrades. Not really upgrades, but I think people will start to veer towards more complex, innovative games that have a more I would say like a more interesting experience, a more encompassing experience. Maybe that might be the better word for it. But regardless, this is kind of the most well-known metaverse or pay-to-play sort of video games that is large in the crypto space. So thought I'd just share this. Don't really have TA for it, but when we do look on a smaller time frame, and just set it to auto here, I can do a quick relative strength analysis. We don't want it on there. So let's just bring those back and let's compare. Mana, USDT, USDT. Perfect. And then we also want to compare Sand, USD, perfect. We also want to compare Atlas, USDT, no, USD. Perfect. All right. So we can see there is a nice relative strength weakness test here. Where is Sand? I guess I did not add it. Maybe not. Compare Sand, USD. Perfect. Okay. So we can see this one is going to be Atlas at the bottom here. A little bit higher than where the Axie Infinity chart is, but you can see the big winner is going to be Mana, which is the Decentraland, which had the biggest pump. So that's going to be, relatively speaking, the strongest. If you take a zoom back, Axie Infinity's got the lead hands down, but kind of taking a look at a smaller term price action here, it does look like the smaller market cap token, because it's less known. I also think that because the game isn't actually out, there's a lot of speculation that is this actually happening, because we've seen Space Citizen not come out. I think there's that fear, especially because it's a very similar genre. It's space, it's mining, it's kind of that theme. So there's going to be a little speculation that there might not be a game actually coming out, but if it does come out, people are able to play it. I think it's going to be absolutely massive, and it's a huge upgrade and step up from even like Decentraland and Sand in my personal view. So now we're going to go into the TA of these two projects. I'll just quickly look at this. It does look a little bit more interesting here on a smaller time frame, because it did squeeze, and we did see an initial nice push, as we can see right here. And we were holding a series of nice higher highs, higher lows, and lower highs, squeezing into a nice symmetrical triangle. So on a smaller time frame, it does look like it's setting up very beautifully here for ASX. On a log format, it looks very, very flattened just because we've been so volatile, but on a smaller time frame, that looks absolutely beautiful. So if we're going to take the geometry of the structure, and we'll use our targets like we always do, using our fib extension. We can see that the next level targets for ASX, or AXS, is going to be the first one. The main target in terms of the geometry is going to be at 180, but I think the extensions, because we're going to see some overperformance here, the main target's going to be 257 and 200. So not a crazy amount from where we are right now, but just in terms of the next possible levels of resistance. So those are going to be the two zones that I'll be looking at. And we see a nice impulsive push, break the squeeze, break the contraction. You're getting a pullback, validating that previous resistance that we've held since mid-October, even further, all the way. Really, if you're looking at a smaller time frame, that's going to be a nice wick to the upside. As we can see, we've been holding this resistance as the all-time high since the start of October. And we just broke it on the daily. We had a nice candle closure above it. We've pulled back. We haven't had a candle closure on the daily chart until that point. So that's a very significant point for the price action, for the bulls to remain confident and have high conviction to push that price up and keep it there. You're getting that nice pullback. You're getting that pause and that wind up before that next impulsive push to the upside. And if we go to a smaller time frame, I'm sure we can see a very beautiful structure right here, like so, setting up oh so wonderfully for the pullback. As we can see, a nice descending wedge, very beautiful. So what we're going to be, actually we don't even need that one there, and what we're going to be looking for is a initiation of the momentum to start carrying again to the upside. So not really going to talk about it too much. I'll do a quick print screen here just to go over what we're seeing. So this is a major structure right here, and we got a lot of buy pressure right here because it was a previous major level of resistance, which is going to be a strong level of support. So we can see that there's going to be a lot of buyers right here. We had that strong push to the upside, which initiated the push and the validation of the symmetrical triangle to break to the upside. And this is the windup, this is the pullback, this is the market breath before the next push to the upside. And we're getting a very, very well-structured squeeze here, where I get the midpoint here. What you're looking for is the initial break, probably around like the 140 range, and once you see a break of the zone of confluence, which is both the horizontal zone as well as the descending zone, then you're going to start to see that nice push to the upside in my personal view. So it is looking very phenomenal, even though it is the largest market cap. It's the largest market cap for a reason. I think a lot of people are going to stick on this. So if you kind of want like the blue chip of the metaverse play in the crypto world, I think Axie Infinity would be a really good play to go, especially because they have a really low supply of tokens. I think it's 270 million, so that's really low compared to a lot of the different things, which, for example, Decentraland, 2.2 billion, excuse me, getting a little drink of water here. Decentraland was a 2.2 billion coin supply. Sandbox is 3 billion, and Star Atlas is 36 billion. So the higher the coin supply, the lower the price is, even if it has the exact same market cap. So you shouldn't look at cryptocurrency, or you shouldn't look at any asset based on the price of like a single coin. That just doesn't make sense, right? Because you have Cardano being in the top 10 and it's valued at like $2 or a little bit under $2 right now. And you have things like Bitcoin where it's valued at $60,000 or whatever it is. So market cap is a true thing that I think people need to consider. So that's going to be the view of Axie Infinity. Let's take that down. The next thing we're going to get into is Mana, which is Decentraland. So we can see that there was a nice contraction in the consolidation, and we just seen a massive, massive push to the upside from sub $1 all the way to, on Coinbase, it went to 480. So it basically did a 4.5x in a span of 4 days. On the one day, you got 3 days, and you basically 4.5x the initial investment if you've invested anywhere in really the last while here. So going on to the TA here, from the symmetrical triangle that we broke out of, we use the geometry to see a potential target here, and then we use the fib extensions to see potential extensions of the target. This is like the overextension of the push, where it's really giving its last leg before it's pulling back. And we have two options here. We have the first 61.8 extension, and then you have the next 1.618 extension, and that's the final target that we look at for a lot of our take profits. Look at Bitcoin's symmetric triangle breakout. 60K was literally perfectly on that 1.618 extension, so we just hit that zone, so I think we will see some pullback, we will see some consolidation. The zone that I'll be looking at for potential support is going to be around 2.3, 2.4, right around here. And from that point, I'll see ideally a support hold, a contraction, and then we'll see that next push to the upside here. So we'll go on to a smaller time frame, and we can see there is quite a bit of a pullback here from the all-time high, but it is still, in my opinion, like a 50% pullback, but you know, you're not really counting that. This is like the bulk of the high that we're seeing right here, but it does look like we are setting up for a little bit of a push to the downside, because you're seeing very aggressive sell pressure. You see lots of wicks to the upside, and then you're seeing a slight ascending zone. So in my opinion, what I think will happen, let's just do a quick print screen. I'm just going to delete these guys right here. Is you saw a massive parabolic push to the upside, and we can see this was the start of that parabolic push. You saw an ascending wedge squeeze to the upside, and from that point, it just absolutely mooned. And we saw some hesitation here where we initially had the first target just with the geometry of the symmetrical triangle that we broke out of, and then we had a push. We pulled back to that zone of sensitivity, and then we continued to rally on. So my assumption is the zones of sensitivity that we talk about both repel and pull the price towards that zone. So this is a major zone of significance, let's say 2.4, 2.5. So I think we are currently squeezing with a major zone of resistance and a very small zone of support. And we're going to see one last dump here, and that will complete our three, let's get this one, that will complete our first, and then we might get another pullback, and then ideally you'll be able to hold that. You might see a little bit of a descending zone, but I think that's what we're going to be seeing right here, where you're seeing a little bit of that kind of first move, or the first kind of wave of sellers come in. You're going to see some support hold. I don't think it's going to be right here. I think it will have one more kind of dip to the downside. You're going to have a quick rally back up. You might see some wicks here, which will be ideal. And then from there, you'll be able to slowly connect the lower lows, lower highs. So you're going to have a strong rally up. You're going to have a contraction of the price, and you're going to have a squeezing of the volatility before you get that expansion and volatility again. So that's going to be my personal view of Decentraland. It does look very strong, but I think we could see a little bit of sell pressure coming in, or at least a little bit of consolidation before we start to get that strong push to the upside that a lot of people are expecting. Also, the fact that we already hit the target there, I think if we do set up beautifully for another structure right here, then we'll be able to use the same system to look for next targets that are a little bit higher, maybe in like the $6-7 range. We'll have to see how the structure looks a little bit later on, but right now it's not an immediate buy in my personal opinion, just because we've already hit that key top target there. The next thing we're going to be looking at here is sand, and this one looks a lot more promising for potential to upside in the kind of small to medium time frame, and we can see our first structure just played out absolutely beautifully. You see a pullback that was pretty significant, and then you're holding that previous target right there. As we can see, previous target right there. And if I pull this one down, it's probably going to be another major significance. So literally, that's exactly what I was talking about, where you get the first pullback, it goes to the second zone, and you get a rally right back. So this is what I'm talking about. You're holding, you're holding, you're holding. You get a dip, you get a right back pullback to that zone of significance, and then you start to rally. And I think that's going to be happening for Decentraland on a different chart, but that's kind of basically what I mean. And when we're talking about the sandbox here, let's just make it green. We're getting a nice ascending zone that, in my opinion, is a very bullish sign, because you're getting aggressively higher highs, and you're also getting you're getting aggressively higher lows, and you're also getting higher highs. Because if you get a symmetrical triangle, you're getting lower highs and higher lows, and then you're getting a contraction. But with this, you're getting a contraction, but you're also getting higher highs. So the buyers are all right with pushing that price higher, and there's not enough sell pressure to keep that price going and forming lower highs. So very good sign, in my personal view, like Binance's move when it first released the BSC was an ascending wedge, and it absolutely popped. So we got our break to confirm that we've broken out of the ascending wedge. We're going to be looking at a smaller time frame here to see what we're able to identify. We're going to have some sort of pullback, and then I think we're going to be seeing our next push to the upside here to continue the overall trend. And the key levels of significance that I'm going to be looking at for SAND is going to be around that 430 range, as well as just under that 330 range, 320 range there. So that's going to be the large time frame that we're looking at here for SAND. We'll take a look at a smaller time frame, and we can see just how perfect that first target was initially for that geometry, right around there where we got a lot of sell pressure and then came back. We're now pulling back, consolidating for our next leg higher. So we'll move on to a smaller time frame here. Don't really love that setup. I don't really think that we've made too much progress. I think what would be ideal, let's just take a quick scan here, is we see an initial pump, but we don't really see a whole lot of consolidation or structure set up, because this is the whole pump, and then you're getting your first pullback, and this is like a little bit of a bull rally or a fake, kind of like a fake out basically, before you're going to get that next push to the downside. Ideally, it would be ideal if you get a nice little pull up, making a lower high from this one, and then you're going to get a higher low from this one, and then you get a slight pullback, and then you're able to get that nice, beautiful structure that we ideally like to see. So that would be the most ideal situation. We could get a situation, let's just pull it back a little bit, where you do fail to make a higher high from that point, and it might be a little bit of an aggressive descending wedge, but that's going to be the second structure that we'll be looking at if we're unable to get that slightly lower highs like so. That might be the second play that we'll be looking at, and then you got a zone of confluence right there. So another possible play would be, let's just get a different color here. This is the second wave, and you're getting a nice consolidation, and then you're going to get that break to the upside. We get that first wave, you got the second wave, and then that third wave is really where you're starting to get that contraction. So that's going to be my view on SAND. It is looking promising, but I think there's a little bit of time here before we're able to get a structure that we have edge playing, that we have high confidence in, that will push to the upside after it's confirmed its breakout. The last chart of the day is going to be Atlas, the Solana network, or the Solana-based project here that was on the last of the list there. So the market cap, because it's only 263 million, in order to get to the same market cap as Axie Infinity, which would be around like 8.17, it's going to be around a 31x. To be the same market cap as Axie Infinity, and we talked about the graphics and the gameplay and the potential of it. If we do see it actually come out, we see Star Citizen not come out, with the potential coming out over 8 years ago, or the promise of the game coming out over 8 years ago. So there's a little bit of hesitation there, which does make sense. But if we are able to get that game to fruition, people are able to play it, I think it's going to be a very promising opportunity for people who are investing in Atlas early on, especially also for people who are just interested in playing video games and making money off it. It's a good opportunity there as well. So we can see it is currently at a major zone. It is not only in line with the 618 from the geometry of the structure we recently broke out of, but we can also see major level of resistance, support initially, and it's now turning into a strong level of resistance. If we go to a smaller time frame, we can see it's just a wick here. We actually haven't broken above the zone on a large time frame, so it does make sense that you're going to get a slight pullback here on the daily. You do see candle closures, but in my personal view, I don't think we've officially broken out of this because we got slammed down so quickly, as we can see. So we got a little bit of a wick here. I wouldn't be too surprised if we kind of travel back into the 10-cent range, somewhere around there. So looking on a smaller time frame, understanding that this is basically one big wick coming up and came right back down. We have a lot of sell pressure around this zone here. So let's get our picture like so. So we know that there is a tremendous amount of sell pressure. Let's get the red right at this zone. So what we're going to be looking for is probably not much price movement within this zone here. So we're probably going to see another dump to the downside, maybe a rally connecting these lows right there, and then you're either going to get a horizontal zone or you're going to get a descending zone. So I think there's quite a bit of movement before we're going to get that big rally. Let's just clean this up a little bit and set this up like so, set this up like so. What you ideally like to see is this is the first wave. You're going to see the second wave, and then you see the 1, 2, and then the 3 validations of the rejection zone, and it would make sense because this is such a strong level of resistance. You're going to see usually a descending structure with major levels of resistance, or ascending structures of with major levels of support, and then once you see a break, you just absolutely aggressively break through it. It's not a slight kind of pull, you kind of make it. It's a very aggressive, confident push that we usually see after the wind-up has commenced and we see that next push start to come in. So right now, I don't think it's a prime time. I think I'd like to see a little bit more of a structure build, something like this. But once that structure completes, I think it'd be looking phenomenal to really start to trend higher. And looking at the market caps, if this game actually does come out, it's going to be a really good opportunity for people who are able to get in this. So this is a complete YOLO play. Like, I have some complete major DeFi degen plays, which you got to be pretty willing to completely lose that amount of money. And I think once this game actually has the game playable, then it's going to be a lot more of a high confidence investment. But as of right now, I just put a little bit of being 100% transparent, I just put like a little bit of money in this. I think I have like 8 or 7,000 tokens, so really not much at all. But this is like a very small little drop in the bucket, and then as time goes on, once the game is able to come out, if the gameplay is there and people are able to actually play the game, that's when you're able to, in my opinion at least, have the conviction to add, you know, a sizable investment that actually would make a difference if it appreciates a significant amount. So hopefully that was a really good video. Hopefully you're able to get some at least an understanding of the different metaverses available in the cryptoverse. Really, I don't think that a lot of people are going to be immediately hopping on Facebook's metaverse. I think there's a lot of not hate, but there's a lot of skepticism that Facebook is a good, quote, company, and there's a lot of people that are against Facebook. So having a decentralized system, especially like a DAO, where you're able to have governance over an entity using the community's power, not like Mark Zuckerberg just being like, yo, I want this changed. That's a massively positive impact for the world, not only just for video games, but for really reality, like the world. Like, you know, politicians could just basically be eliminated if we have DAOs managing and governing an entire country. It's totally possible. And I think the video games that we're talking about and the the in-game economy and the ability to have that governed by a DAO will prove that it's possible in the real world, because it's truly an economy. So hopefully that was a really good video. It was a little bit longer. It was different than a lot of the other videos that we go over because we talked a little bit about the project as well as the TA, but hopefully you enjoyed it. If you do like these videos, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help out, and subscribe so we know to continue making more videos like this. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today's Halloween. Hopefully you guys and girls all had a wonderful Halloween. And until next time, have a good one.